Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Action Awareness, I want to talk about Under Pressure of the Giant Ants. Under Pressure is a Phase 3 special that can be played before base scores, transferring any number of power counters from one of your minions to another. There is a lot of flexibility in this card because, like a few select other specials, the scoring base doesn't have to be part of the transaction at all. Nowhere in the ability does it state that the receiving minion needs to be on the scoring base, and neither does the source. In this respect, Under Pressure is like the power counter version of Full Sail and offers 4 distinct scenarios for usage. There are 2 types of people with respect to Giant Ants: those who think that they are a good faction that might need the right partner, and those who are wrong. I think that there's a tendency to focus only on the first scenario, which is extremely satisfying, but limits the Giant Ants to finding the right opportunity. Instead, with a little creativity, you'll see how versatile this card really is. That first scenario, which I believe is the most common, is when you are losing on the base you intend to win. You will pull power counters from another base onto a target minion there to win. Often, this will be combined with We Are the Champions to move and reuse the counters elsewhere. And don't get me wrong, this is a great combination and extremely satisfying to break 2 bases in one turn. It's definitely doable. But it's also a possibility that the situation does not present itself, in which case one of your best cards remains unplayed. Most bases have a difference of 2 BP between first and second place. I think the tendency to create a 4-point swing blinds people to other options, because you need to think about the total distribution of points for all players. The second strategy takes a page out of the Elves playbook and uses Under Pressure like Runaway. I'm losing on the base, and I accept that I am losing. Instead of trying to win that base, I'll accept second place and move my counters to a different base that I intend to score. This works particularly well when you have the next turn, because it allows you to make a big play before anyone else has a chance to react. Let's look at a 2-player scenario. If you win the first base, there's no guarantee you'll win the second, not when you are reducing your head start. So if your opponent wins the second base, and both are 4-2-1 splits, you'll each get 6 points. But if you accept second place for an opportunity to completely deny someone any points at all, then you score 6 while they score 4. This is particularly powerful on a base where it's a 4-3-2 split, where denying a player a chance to score anything really hurts. Death on 6 legs makes this really easy with its extra action. We Will Rock You will double the counters you move off of the scoring base, and you have 2 copies, in addition to a minion play that you can use to place additional counters. While there is a lot of value in using Under Pressure to win the scoring base, there is perhaps more value in using it to win a base by yourself, and unexpectedly at that. The third scenario is perhaps my favorite because it solves a problem created by the second. I often say that you want to win bases closely contested because cards are currency and you want to be efficient. Winning a base by yourself is great, but it also leaves you card starved for the future and can cost you the game. Instead, you can take a different page out of the Elven playbook and move counters off the scoring base that you really don't need to win. There's an important caveat here with We Will Rock You. Removing the counters does not remove the power that We Will Rock You granted, so you'd essentially get to keep half of that power. In this scenario, you are using Under Pressure like We Are the Champions, but doing it before the base scores because you don't need them there anyway. If you can win a base this way, then you may very likely win the second base because you are adding a bunch of counters. If you are really lucky, you can then use We Are the Champions to move them to a third base and break that too in a same turn. I've actually done this, and it's incredibly satisfying because you send all of your counters to a single minion with a kind of magic, and you are just perpetuating those counters, not caring about what minions have power until it really matters. Again, Death on 6 legs makes this easier because you can play We Will Rock You to give all your minions an initial boost they will not lose. Then you can play a kind of magic to begin the cascading transfer. So if this is the big Giant Ants play, what's the fourth scenario then? In each of the 3 scenarios, the scoring base was involved as either the source or the target, and your intent changed between them. You can also use this card to transfer between 2 unrelated bases, and the only time I recommend this is when you want a free action on someone else's turn. You don't care about the source base because it isn't even scoring, and you are just transferring counters between 2 minions. I've done this when I plan on winning on my next turn, using the action like a reduced form of a kind of magic. The extra action from Death on 6 legs makes this not as necessary, but it can be effective when you set up just the right amount of power when you factor in that extra action. Only use this if you intend on targeting a single, final base. If there was one knock on Under Pressure, it's that it has been completely replaced by Expert Timing as a better card. Expert Timing is a 23 special. It can target cards as opposed to minions, and can activate a talent ability again. This doesn't make Under Pressure a bad card, it just makes Expert Timing a phenomenal card. Despite its age, Under Pressure is still a crucial aspect of the Giant Ant strategy, and if playing with Kung Fu fighters, you could essentially use the same strategy twice, potentially on the same turn, creating a multi-base attack. The Giant Ants are a faction that you have to utilize to their full potential, and it starts with recognizing their power counter engine. Under Pressure is an extremely flexible card that allows you to do more than you might realize when first looking at the card. If you restrict yourself to only one of the 4 scenarios, you may find that the opportunity never arises, and this will taint your experience with the Giant Ants. For me personally, this is an extremely fun and satisfying faction. What I really like is how this card corresponds to several personalities, as I'm the type who likes the surprise elements of the latter 3 scenarios. What's your favorite way to use this card? And what do you think of the Giant Ants? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.